Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Talks on November 12th. I am Cursive Chords.
I'm Hifok.
We were hoping to be able to bring and be talking about Ciderfest results today. That convention was last weekend, but I don't think we have results posted up yet.
Yeah, not as far as I'm aware.
So once that happens, that'll be our, I guess, shoot for that for next stream. But in lieu of that, Hithark had a pretty great idea for a stream last time. We were talking about commons that we've been able to implement.
Yeah, this time it's super rares.
Yeah, super rares are it was a thing that just started in Equestrian Odysseys, as the tier between rare and ultra rare, obviously. And they have historically tended to be just really interesting card designs in general. Unique,
Mm-hmm.
usually things that no other cards have done, and really kind of interesting implementations of mechanics. But without the ultra rares tend to not always, but often be really powerful cards. Super rares have tended to be more weird and novel than
Mild.
necessarily super powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Some
so,
of my favorite cards are super rares.
yeah, I think probably that's true for many people who play the game. It perhaps depends a little bit on the outlook that you have, I guess. And you and I are both people who like to build unique, novel strategies rather than just super competitive. Um, but yeah, rares tend to be great build-around cards, often, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so, unlike last stream where we were specifically talking about strong commons, this is just going to be our favorites of the super rares in core. In core, because if we included adventure, we might be here for a long time.
Yeah, I've had like 15 cards.
Yeah. Also, unlike last stream, where there was a clear demarcation line between Hithrok's cards and my cards, this time I've just shuffled them all up. So that and there was a fair amount of overlap meaningfully between the two lists anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we're not going to be making a distinction between Hithark's cards and my cards,
Yeah.
and there is no order. I promised last stream there was an order to the commons. I guess I never revealed it. Seems kind of weird to talk about now, though. Basically, it was like the Ponyhead list, but then it was alternating cards in the Ponyhead list. That was the order that we went through them
Uh, Even I didn't know.
in. Yeah. So anyway, um, yeah. I guess similar to what we did last stream. We're not going to be dwelling too much on each individual card. Um, but just speaking of them.
Yeah.
So, that up. Let us get to them. So, first card here is Daybreaker from Friends Forever. Uh, she was a staple for a long time in, in Farm for sure, and had sometimes was played in aggro lists, kind of depended. It's actually been a long time since I've seen Daybreaker get used now.
I think you were mostly seeing her on farm lists because back in the day the core was not rotated and we had Night Glider,
Mm-hmm.
which is a cheaper and perhaps a little bit better version of this card in terms of
Uh,
power level.
yeah, yeah. Actually, it served basically the same purpose now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean they both have competitive and a score point mechanic for winning face-offs.
Yeah, and then these days, aggro blue decks. It's basically been subsumed by Final Question as the best point
Yeah,
acceleration in blue.
yeah, and I guess it's kind of expensive, 318.
Yeah, I think in aggro decks, especially in blue, 3AT is either going to be Ash and Mullet or yeah, it's not going to be good. Not going to be better than that. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Which now that I think about it, I don't know why Night Glider kind of escaped me. That means it actually isn't a particularly unique effect. It's just kind of a toned down version of that card from before.
yeah, that's why she's not on my list.
I
It's
see
like,
what
yeah,
you
but
mean.
it's just Nightglade.
Yeah.
But I did like her in my control farming deck. It's pretty good there.
Yeah. It's a bit uh it's a bit more relevant in the farming context because it's competitive 3 instead of competitive 2, right?
It has more power, and in farming, you don't always win by 5 or more, especially like in a deck like mine where you don't just have like oops all troublemakers, right? It's
Mhm.
the flip average is a little lower than your regular farming. So
Yeah.
not having to win by 5 is like a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a much better pull to get out of Opponent of Shadows. Uh which is why I think it showed up in a lot of that style of farm deck.
You can score so many points in a deck with this card. Like you defeat one troublemaker, score 3 points because 2 for troublemaker, 1 for this card. Then you use your ultimate organizers to move this card to the other troublemaker, score 3 more points, and then you do a double face-off for 4 more points at least. That's like 10 points in one turn.
That's really legitimate, yes.
I mean, something that actually happened to me several times in the deck. It's amazing.
Really? Okay, that's impressive.
Uh, I think one was right before Continentals at Ciderfest when we just had a casual game with GP, I think, in like a hotel room, and
Mhm.
I kind of bursted out. Though I think that was before. Was that before? No, that wasn't before Daybreaker. That was right after she was released, I think. Ciderfest Continentals.
Right.
Either way, I do like this card, but yeah, it's Night Glider vibes.
I kind of can understand that, yeah. Alrighty. See, I've already kind of forgotten what the order that I put these in, even though I just did them this morning. But next up
It's random.
is yeah. Also from Friends Forever, Silverstream. The one that is this the first time that we like had problem decks becoming problem cards becoming dilemmas?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, because that's what the reminder text needed to be there for, and yeah, this was a really new thing. Nowadays, there are several, well, at least a couple more effects that can put a problem deck into play as a dilemma. Problem card. Sorry, not problem deck.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
also a card that we spoiled.
it was. Is that the first ever card that we spoiled? No,
Yeah, probably not the first, but I think it
probably
was
not
the
the
first
first.
card I spoiled on the stream.
Could have been, yeah. And you had some real fun with this card. I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, I had that combo deck that used. What did I do? I don't even. I think it was something to do with fire than radio. I
I
think.
think so, yeah, because you were cycling the problem deck until you got.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you put fire than ready as a dilemma, and then you keep moving to it, and you use Joe, so it's not getting replaced. So you replace all the other problems, but not it. and one of your problems in your problem deck is Trouble with Trixie, which gives you 1 AT, which means infinite AT. Oh, that was so fun.
Pretty good time, yeah.
Cool card.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever saw anyone else use this for anything else, actually.
Hey, I used it. And I even used Transform
Hmm.
because my combo deck had those 2-cost Silver Streams that I think drew you a card. There's like I think, or they were entry. I don't remember. There's like a really cheap Silver Stream out there.
Well, I don't know if we're exactly going to be saying uh, which ones are the playable cards. I mean, Hathrock's just giving you an idea. Does that combo still work, or was there some patch that?
I think it should still work. Nothing changed. Like Joe still doesn't let you replace problems.
Hmm.
So you play Joe with Finder and Rating, and then you just move to it. Find a way to like infinite movement is there are many ways to do it in this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's even better now because you have Discord, which just puts problem on top of the deck. It's before you had to dig for it. You had to use like other cards that let you like look at the top card of the problem deck, put it on the bottom or top.
Hmm.
Now you don't have to do that. Now you just play Discord.
Right.
It's pretty easy.
But it is, well, yeah, it's got to be Harmony because you need Fire and Ready.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I gotta be Harmony. This is why we need the Fire and Ready reprint. That's what I've been saying. Oh, I remembered. It was Silver Stream for uh, from Friends Forever. It was so good because it lets you. She was like 2 AT, 2 power, 1 rec. 1 rec is perfect. And her text was look at the top or card of your problem deck and put it either on top or the bottom. So like it was a really good fit into that deck
right.
because it had to dig for the problem, and it transforms into this Silver Stream. Like it worked so well.
Hmm. Yeah, pretty good. Moving on.
Yeah,
Uh, it was so this Trixie, Smoke and Mirrors, is a card that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Actually, I'm pretty sure. You for obvious reasons. Um,
I mean, I think my reasons, other than it being Trixie, kind of might align with your reasons.
well, basically in that it was kind of a core card in purple
Unicorn aggro. Yeah.
Unicorn aggro. Yes, yeah. Back in the days before you could get your 10 power from Celestia, you had to get it from Trixie.
This card is like, first of all, I think it was the first Trixie card spoil that I saw. Like when I started playing the game,
That
I
lines up.
was
Yeah.
I was like nagging and for playing Twitter. Do you have Trixies? I think if you go to my Twitter, you might see that. Um, but other than that, it so like back in the day, I played Steal the Show starter deck, and I improved it with my Defenders of Equestria cards, and this was like one of the core cards that were part of the improvement, and it worked so well because you had your Starswell researches, you had scope things out, like it was really easy to get this card to enough power.
Hmm.
It was a really good card in that deck.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this card so much.
Yeah. There's some. Well, doubles in general are always good to build around because of the way that modifier dependency works in this game.
Yeah,
Um,
which is additive things are applied before multiplying things.
yeah, yeah, and especially because this one can stack doubles. Um, yeah, if
Yeah,
you're playing with orange for +1 power counters or anything, you can turn this card into a well, so long as you have a way to refill your hand from all the events that you're playing, you can turn this into a reliable engine pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah. But orange also has rock hoof.
Very true. And yeah, yeah. Back when Unicorn Aggro was still just a pet deck for me and not actually a real deck, which I mean you can argue if it's even a real deck these days, but yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Next card.
Nice card. So I guess the one thing that I'd ask you, looking at your list of cards from before I shuffled them up, did you look at events?
Yeah, I think I did look at all of the super rares.
Okay, I was surprised to not see We're Friendship Bound on your list then.
I mean, like, yeah, that card has a Trixie in it, but I'm not like it was like the text was never
Hmm.
good.
No,
I don't
I don't
know.
believe I've ever seen
Like
anyone play
the
it.
art is great. Like I really like that card, like flavor wise, but otherwise not really.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Presence of Trixie is not enough to make your list. I see. Which fair enough. Um,
Did
uh,
you want me to include every Trixie? There are more Trixie super rares, you know.
there are, there are. Um, I was kind of expecting it, I guess.
Well, I mean, my list was like long already.
It's true, it's true. Anyway, this one is not Where Friendship Bound. It's in my head like a catchy song. A card that admittedly, there's only one mode that actually sees play most of the time. The
Yeah.
one that turns it into a 2-cost redeeming qualities. But in addition to being a really core card in the Reanimator deck that was frankly, it's still good. You can still play it. But for a while, it was the tops of core. This is actually on my list as a flavor selection because it's one of my favorite songs from the show, and still good in that sense as well.
My favorite song is still not a card. Very sad.
I think you mentioned this during the Origin stream, didn't you? And I've already forgotten what your favorite song was. Oh wait, no, you just posted about it in Discord, didn't you?
Maybe?
Or was it? I remember seeing a post from you somewhere because it's the song from the season 3 premiere, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Twilight's failure. I don't think I mentioned it. Maybe I did.
Well, I remember seeing a post from you somewhere.
Well, a couple of days ago, I mentioned it in Ponydev. Maybe.
Right, it was a Pony Dev. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's not a bad song either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's I kind of out of the like event cards. I kind of wanted to include the uh, what was the name of? I don't remember the name of the song, but it's the purple, blue, white event, which had like all three modes. All three modes are pretty good for like my deck in particular, my favorite deck.
Blue, white. Was that the?
It was the CMC song. I just don't remember the name.
Being big is all it takes.
Yes, exactly that one. Like that card is pretty. It's just the purple. Like white is kind of in a bad spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Purple is kind of in a bad spot right now. So like that's 2 out of 3 colors not in not really a good shape. So, but I think that card is like pretty good.
Yeah,
But again, my
well,
list was pretty long, so I decided to not
yeah.
include it.
I certainly remember that card being revealed, and us both being like, "Hey, this is great in Hithrock's deck."
Yeah, it's like perfect.
All right, next up.
Yeah.
Right. This was one of yours.
Oh, yeah. Skystar. I love this card. Hasty Eccentric 4 with a transform. Like, where else do you see that?
No, I'm pretty sure it's. Let's see. Hasty eccentric. I think this is still the only hasty eccentric.
I think there's one more now. Isn't it one of the Ultra Rares in New Dawn, maybe?
Ultra. Be a pink card. I'm gonna have to look on my.
Yeah, for Eccentric, it's gotta be pink. Yeah, it's Gallus and Silverstream have Eccentric
Oh
1.
yes. Well, that
But
doesn't.
that's still like,
Yeah, that doesn't count.
it's not Eccentric 4.
Yeah, I mean, eccentric. Yeah, eccentric one, and like Gallus and Silverstream never get used for the eccentric one. They get used for the fact that they cost 0. They have 3 power. But yeah, like this was always one of the cards that I thought should have seen some amount of play.
Yeah, agreed.
As a like as a consistently 2-cost hasty eccentric 4, that should be really good. And obviously the problem is that there's not going to be a well, there wasn't a sort of route to transform, even though I guess I guess it just didn't make the cut in BRB because that one ran the 4-cost Skystar as a route into transform.
Yeah, but I mean, Derby had so much disruption that, like,
Yeah,
on the like Eccentric 4, like, pales in comparison.
yeah.
He didn't really need Eccentric 4 when you can just remove half of the board. Um, but yeah, and I think like Hasty Eccentric is such a interesting way of disruption. Like it doesn't do anything to friends in any way. Most forms of disruptions involve doing something to the characters, right?
Hmm.
Other than troublemakers, I guess. But even those, like villain is one of the most popular keywords. And this is like a really unique way to disrupt. I mean, hasty centric, like, oops, not a problem now, 4 more to confront. And like, it's also something that the opponent can play around too, like other forms of disruption. Like, yeah, I like this card.
Hmm. And I think this is still the highest printed eccentric number that a card has had. Like there are obviously
Printed,
cards that can
yes,
get higher.
I don't think we've ever had centric 5. Yeah, we have a grannies that can go higher because they give you centric for every Earth Pony,
Hmm.
but printed eccentric, yeah. I kind of want to build an eccentric deck right now. Just not like a super competitive one, just a
Hmm. Hmm.
fun eccentric control deck with like
It's
grannies, other
eccentric
stuff.
is an often relevant card. Games that I've keyword
Yeah,
from the games that I've been seeing. Maybe it's because core these days seems to be a lot about confronting. Farm has kind of gone away a little bit.
yeah, and control barely exists.
Well, to the extent that it exists, it's more about disruption and, well, again, confronting problems than it is about defending troublemakers as it used to be.
Yeah, we should get mimics back.
Uh, Something like it, maybe. It was
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if we got mimics back right now, things wouldn't be as bad as they used to be because there's so many tools now against troublemakers that are not dilemmas. And like even dilemma, like you have sanctuary construction, which is amazing. I guess
yeah.
the problem with mimics is you kinda had to be in colors that could deal with them. Like if you're I don't know, orange white, then you're kind of out of luck. Not
Yeah.
really much you can do.
Yeah. It's yeah. I think officially it's probably still a good thing that Mimics isn't in the game, but
Yeah.
troublemakers can be getting closer to it these days. Like the general idea of having that kind of attacks, perhaps could be touched again.
Yep.
All right. Next up. So I have Holiday and Lofty in here. I know the card's never seen any real competitive play. I don't think so. Like any card that has tried to do the attachment resources thing, the hats thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just never really worked. But I wanted to put this in here almost just as a message to Sim, like, yo, these cards are appreciated. Please keep pushing hats because it's going to work someday.
Uh that's what we had with yellow.
It's true. And
Yellow was like, oh yeah, the only yellow card anybody runs is Seabreeze's Flower.
yeah. Well, so, for a couple of sets, the fact that yellow was good was a refreshing breath of fresh air. Like, yes, everyone's tired of it
Sure.
now. But for a couple of sets, it's like, yo, yellow is good again. Isn't that awesome? Which hats has never been good. So
Yeah. There are some really powerful hats cards, and it's still not there.
mhm. It's
I'm
possible.
scared what happens when we reach the tipping point. Get it because you can tip your hat.
Oh, very good. Yeah, like it's possible that it's going to happen when white sort of gets out of the doldrums that it's in now, because that is kind of one of the requirements of the deck is that you need to be able to run a solid white foundation.
Yeah.
So it's possible that the new white main, which looks baseline goodish, could be a springboard for it.
Yeah.
And given the fact that resources are, I don't want to say vulnerable per se, but there is solid anti-resource out there. It seems like that would always be a check on a on a hat deck getting too far out of whack.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, I wanted
Hats would be interesting.
to put this here to say that I appreciate that people are trying to push the hats concept, and I want it to keep happening.
Huh?
Okay. Yes. Next up, Flurry Heart. This was the first super rare Flurry Heart. There's been well, I don't know if there's been any other SRs. It's a character that's showed up often.
I don't think we had a Flurry Heart before this.
This was the first card depicting this child. Yes. And
Yeah.
probably trying to think. Well, I was gonna say probably the most infamous. I don't know if that's true or not. Actually, uh,
I would. What else are you thinking of?
well, so the one from Fond Memories, the common one that we talked about last stream, is commonly played. I guess,
It's
yeah,
not infamous.
it's
It's
nowhere
good,
near notoriety. Yeah, that's true.
but this card definitely takes the top spot of one of the most infamous cards in the game. Like I think the only cards that like come close on that metric are some past combos like
Right.
tentacles.
Stuff that got banned. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, well yeah, there's for this card, there's the amount of sort of rules that needed to be talked about. Like, not necessarily things that need to be clarified, but I remember, like, when this card hit the game, there's a big discussion about what exactly random area means,
yeah.
what happens if you try to move a card to a place that it can't go. Um, yeah, that
There's like
whole,
trigger order. There's party mayors.
yeah,
Remember party like honestly, just I'm gonna be completely honest. I still don't remember. Like I don't remember the exact rulings. Like I know the rulings now are clarified on this card. What exactly should happen in which scenario, but I do not remember them at this point.
hmm yeah, yeah. What happens when multiple things try to do something randomly? Yeah, it's
So if a party mayor tries to move to one random location, but Flurry Heart chooses another location, did party mayor move?
right. Um,
What if Flurry Heart tries to send it to its own location after party mayor tried to move to another location? Oh my god. What happens if party mayor chooses its own location? Does it still technically move or not?
that
Ah,
is wow.
this
Yeah,
card was so
still
much because I mean the text here doesn't help either because it's worded as both a trigger and the replacement modifier. It has like when a character would be moved, which is like a trigger thing,
mhm,
when. And then you have instead at the end of the thing, which is a replacement modifier.
yeah.
And
Which, like, those shouldn't be exclusive. Like, well,
well, no, they should be because they're
they
different things.
well, so like the rules should define a conditional replacement modifier or something, because that's what this
Yeah,
is.
we have that. Yeah, we have that. Yeah, but there's also like the big question is what does it mean to would be moved
Yeah.
when a card would be moved? If there's a Luna in play and you move a card, but you have to play the text, is that still would be moved?
Yeah. I mean, it's still. I mean, I would say, well, it depends. Jeez. I mean, it's a similar thing as right? It's it's requiring us to really dig into the specifics of the process of taking actions.
Yes.
Like I feel like, and don't quote me on this because this isn't ruling, uh, but like it would be nice if this worked the same way as as an as thing. So like this is cutting before the move actually happens when someone tries to move a thing. This cuts on that.
Yeah, but what does it mean to try to move a thing?
Exactly,
If
right?
party mayor moves in her own location, is that trying to move a thing?
You need to take apart the state machine at a really deep level,
Yeah.
and well define where exactly this hits. Which is not to say that it's not well understood how this card works. It does. It is. Just it's quite complicated, and neither of us is pulling out the rulings right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it took us a year maybe to reach a point where we got concrete rulings and everything.
hmm Yeah,
Because before it was kind of like, huh? Something happens. Depends on the judge.
yeah, and that's that element is completely removed from the fact that this also played a starring role in a very good and unique deck, that being the Sea Poppy thing in
Yeah,
Harmony.
yeah. This card is just it's something. It's and it's a super rare.
It's
Def-
a
def-
sorry, go ahead.
Definitely deserves this spot.
Yeah, it's an emblematic card of what, because I think super rares often do require rulings clarifications in that just like that silver stream before. Actually, I guess it's the pink super rares really, like the cards that really make the designer reach for weird text, and
Yeah.
often do require, well, this is a really cool effect, but like, how does it actually work? Stuff
I mean, not
later.
just pink super rares. We have Starlight coming up, which also introduced a new mechanic never seen before.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So, what's after this card? Right. Focused attention. Which is one of the ones that I put in. I said that we were not going to demarcate which ones are mine, which ones are yours.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So this card obviously is well, new. Fond Memories, most recent set, hasn't maybe seen a whole lot of use yet.
but see, if mimics were in the game, it would see a lot of it.
Well, gee, it sure would actually, and the fact that this exists maybe is kind of a well, it means that confront to flip mains don't necessarily have to start with lacking lesson plans.
Yeah,
Or well, I mean, they could do both actually, and
yeah.
probably should. um, but yeah, this is a and actually now that I think about it, like this is in a different rotation block than lacking lesson plans, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is probably why that's the case. Now that I think about it, like when lacking lesson plans leaves, this is the card that's going to stand in for um for that in confront to flip decks. Although I guess Tempest is
Mm-hmm.
going to rotate out at the same time lacking lesson plans does. Anyway,
And Grubber.
yeah. Point of the matter is, it is sitting in a good spot for those decks, and um, I've always felt it like I remember making a bunch of decks around the time that Fond Memories came out, and this card was always like just on the edge of inclusion. Because when you're playing an aggro or a mid range or whatever, it is really useful to be able to just confront a problem with your main. Like often enough, that is going to be really efficient play. Um, but it just never quite was good enough to go into the full deck, which is unfortunate, I guess.
What I like about this card is the letting you confront any problem thing with
Hmm.
just your main character. You can confront Fire and Ready with that.
Hmm.
So, or blackmail, as if somebody confronts that card ever. Uh, I think we've only had one card like this before. And I
Uh,
think it's a rare, but that's because super rares were not a thing. I think,
yeah. So I know which card you're talking about. It was Ponyville Banner, right?
yeah, it's Ponyville Banner.
Yeah, and that probably would have been an SR, yeah, if
Yeah,
they had
like that
existed
card
back
is,
then.
yeah, that card is like also SR. It's just the SRs were not a thing before.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Move on.
Nice card.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned Starlight before. I think this is the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
Copying events. This is the first card that did that.
this was the first card. Yeah, it's become like a real uh kind of actual core mechanic of purple these days. The ability to
Yeah,
copy
I guess you're
events.
right.
Um, but yeah, this was the first card that tried to do that, and it has a relatively steep cost. Well, what was a relatively steep cost. I can, obviously unicorns are easier um, now.
Yeah.
Uh, although,
Well, you had bodyguards.
well, yeah, like it's and bodyguard was in the same set as this one.
Yes, yeah.
but purple, pink, white has always been it hasn't even been that weird of a combination. It just, I guess it just hasn't been super valuable to be able to
To
go
copy
go
events.
through all that work and then copy
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
And it's like it was super easy to like remember sequester is when we had BRB. It's just this card is not staying on the board if you're doing something.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. But when it was spoiled, like there was like talk about what can I copy? Like
Well,
thinking about all those different events you could copy.
hmm
You could what happens if you copy Star Server Research? Because zero.
well,
So
that's yeah. I mean, that's well defined. It just doesn't do anything.
yeah, it
Um,
doesn't do anything.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
this card is fun. We have way better ways to copy events now,
we
but
do. Yeah, this one is notable because like one of the most obvious examples is Professor Starlight. Um, but that one is only events with the cost 2 or less. This one can copy anything.
yeah.
Which I guess what's the card? Is it recipe research that can also copy anything? The problem
Yes, no, but you need like 2 counters for that.
2 counters on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to quickly answer the question in the chat from Fanman.
Mhm.
Um, it's mostly all online these days. I mean, unless you're going to a convention, or happen to have someone around to play with.
Yeah. Here in Toronto, we play sometimes. Uh, Me and my coworkers mostly.
Don't know what you're saying, Prism Light. I
You're now Ember.
I mean, I guess I
Are you?
appreciate that. I don't know.
Are you involved in every face-off?
Not really.
Also, this card technically has Trixie on it
It.
on the flavor text.
Oh, okay. Yes, the word Trixie. I suppose this is true. But yeah.
Teacup.
Oh, use Twilight Starlight.
Did you?
I'm trying to think. Professor Twilight. I don't know exactly what you're referring to.
Well, they do look the same.
They do. It's true. It's true. So similar to each other.
I mean, they're both purple unicorns. Well, Twilight is not a unicorn.
Well, no. I mean, they're both purple ponies with horns.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Copy ship events is
Well,
Twilight, yeah.
it's true. Yes, they both do that. That's true. Okay, I see where I see where you're coming from now. Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, I tried for a while to do stuff with this card when it first came out. And well, it's unfortunately not a card that you build a deck around. It's a fine auxiliary card, and has seen. I think it's in Grandpa's deck for the Invitational this year. His purple deck, which he hasn't played yet. Ugh. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, really nice card. Next card?
Next card. It's one that was in both of our lists for sure.
Yeah.
Was this? I don't think. Well, okay. No. Well, no. This came before Day Shift. This was probably the
Yeah, this
first,
was yeah.
the first goodish Celestia card. And
I see. That's what you worry about. True.
yeah. Well, like you. Well, I guess for me, having come into the game like Camelot Knights, there was a long period or I was waiting for a Celestia card to be remotely playable. And well, I guess there was the main from Celestial Solstice, which was
I mean,
remotely playable.
at least it was, you know, fitting before this card.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like even this card is basically
I mean, I've seen it being played
well,
many times.
oh yeah, it's played. It's tech against troublemakers
Yeah.
generally, which is yeah. In farm heavy metas, it's a pretty important deck in yellow, like especially in Thorax because it's amazing
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Thorax.
I
Um,
was actually kind of surprised to learn that. Well, I probably knew that at some point, but I forgot that this card is Defenders. I thought it was like, I don't know, Marks in Time or High Magic. But no, this card is Defenders.
think they were printing good yellow cards in Marks in Time and High Magic.
I mean, there are some cards. Yes. Wasn't there another super rare Celestia?
Oh yes, there was the one that you could put. Let me see. It's the one. What's the name of it? See the image of the card. Actually, there were two super rare
Oh, there are
Celestias.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So there's the
I'm
one that is on my blog, Equestrian General. That was from Marks. That was
hold on. Then there's three because you have Equestrian General, which is I think that was the one I was thinking of.
okay.
You
There's
have Solar Serenity, which is
yeah. That's the one. Pay one to put an opposing friend with one or less power
yes,
into their hand.
and you also have Royal Decree, which opponents can't play friends
Oh,
with 3 or more power here.
well, that's from Equestrian Odysseys.
Yes,
Yeah.
3 Celestias. Wow, it's one Celestia per set. That's one
Yeah.
super rare Celestia per set.
All at super rare. Wow. Yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah. And then this one
And then this one, so that's 4 sets in a row.
in Defenders. Um.
Do we have a Celestia SR in? No.
Well,
No, that's where it ends.
well, in Sequestra, she was a UR. I mean that.
Oh yeah, the one tricorn we never see.
Yeah, and a rare that literally got banned. So you know,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, it was a good set too. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. But yeah, this card.
Yeah,
Well,
this card is the best SR Celestia out of 4 of them.
yeah, yeah. From the set where yellow was finally starting to get some good stuff. Um.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. It's gonna move on. Okay. Yeah. So I remember I put in Lord T-Rex. Very much on the emphasis of cards that are cool and interesting and I like, but not good. I don't think anyone's ever played it. But I very much love the possibilities that arise from forcing the opponent to start troublemakers into me or start face-offs.
Yeah,
um, because like there are some number of strategies out there that are like, oh, this would be pretty good, but the opponent's just never going to challenge it.
yep.
Um, um,
Like having 10 unicorns behind the troublemaker.
yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to think because I remember this came from that rarity that gives your opponent unicorn tokens. I'm trying to remember what the actual strategy was.
Think they reduced home limit?
Well, yes. Well, so like that main was your opponent can't retire tokens home limit, and you could give them tokens. Um, But I remember I wanted to name Unicorn Token with Sans, so that they couldn't get points. And I wanted to put a Unicorn Token at this problem. Don't remember what the plan was though.
Yeah, I'm not sure how giving your opponent unicorn tokens helps with this card.
I feel no, that's what it was. I wanted to use this card to do chaos control because I could put my chaos stuff out of my discard pile, and it was convoluted and never worked like all of my deck ideas. But it gave me something to try to do, which I appreciated. So that's why the card is on the list.
Yeah. I think this card is best used when it doesn't stay like you again in the unicorn scenario. You like have a bunch of unicorns and your opponent has like a bunch of stuff there too. Then you just put it from your discard pile straight into play and it's just there now. And you immediately get the benefit. Because they cannot deal with it until their main phase. That requires like a specific setup, I guess. I mean, unicorns are white, and you have the rarity in Twilight purple white, so maybe that's a possible purple white deck. Although I don't know how you get that many unicorns on a purple white deck. I think you need pink.
Well, yeah, that's how you do it. Because like there are no other cards that generate unicorn tokens other than Bodyguard, right?
Yeah. Well, there are some, but
not
nearly as
not to
close
the
as
magnitude that you need to make it actually effective. Yeah.
You know, during that rarity main, during playtesting, used to not specify who gets a unicorn, so you could just get a unicorn to yourself every turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I said like, why wouldn't I give a unicorn to myself every turn? But maybe maybe that would actually make the play main, better.
In the current meta, we have Summoning Bell.
Oh yeah.
Which requires you to have a friend sitting at the problem. But that exists.
Yeah. But that's maybe that's a thing there.
I remember there being some amount of hype about that card when the set came out. And well, it's fallen victim to white the same way everything has. But like, don't take your eyes off of it.
White.
Yeah.
Didn't we have another main that created tokens? Oh yeah, it was that Pinkie Pie. Nobody played.
Yeah. Well, Earth Pony tokens have never been useful.
Nope.
No, that's not true. For enabling the Unity 15 Pinkie from last lap.
Well, yeah, that's like the whole Featherbank stuff and the other things.
Well, that too, yeah. Forgot about that.
I mean, grannies with eccentric like ponies. Also, I think didn't GP play Ravers at Ciderfest?
He did, from what I understand.
Yeah, from what I've heard, that creates pony tokens. I know GP was like always, like the term combo bait. He was always baited by that card. He always wanted to do something with it because it creates tokens whenever you play a friend.
I mean, we'll see. I am really interested to see what exactly his list
me too.
ends up being. Next card. Stygian. There's been a number of Friends Forever cards on our list so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got like cards from all of the sets.
Well, we do, yes.
Maybe not New Dawn.
I think there's a New Dawn one coming up somewhere.
Oh, Tyrek is New Dawn.
Oh yeah, we just literally just did that. Yes.
I meant Fond Memories.
We covered focused attention earlier.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well,
But anyway, Stygian. Um,
I
this
mean,
had
copying a resource. I don't think we've had that.
yes. Copying resource.
Oh, we had the flower thing. No, that
Yeah,
one
no,
steals
no.
resources.
Yeah. Flower steals.
Yeah, this one copies. Oh, this one.
I think it's still the only card that does that.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything like that other than this one. And it's a really cool card, you know. There has been like a lot of interesting ways to use it. Like you can copy your own resources, you can copy your opponent's resources.
Hmm.
There's and it's a really cheap friend. It's not like 480 copy a resource. It's just 280 and it's cost efficient. Like I like this card.
Yeah, and that's the restriction on it, that like there needs to be a resource in play for it to be copied. Um,
I mean, yeah, but you're not gonna summon resources out of nothing.
yeah. And well, most decks these days, when I think about it, like when was the last time I saw a deck? Well, Hot Wings. Other than that, most decks have resources that are probably worth
Thanks.
copying. I mean, sticks, yeah. Even Fluttershy these days. Uh, a rocket scooter is a fine copy.
Yeah,
Um, think about other things.
it's sad you can't copy Desert Road with this.
You can't. Yeah, there are ways to do it. You have to like property destruction it first.
Oh no. Or thrash it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like again, this card does something unique that we have never seen before.
Hmm.
It's a super rare, and unlike Starlight, which I guess kind of similar to this card in a sense,
Yeah.
this one's seen a lot of play
This.
because it is actually, it's fairly balanced.
Hmm.
It's not like too cheap. It's not like too easy to copy stuff, but I think it's just right.
Yeah. Yeah. Frankly, I think I should probably start thinking about this more, especially again coming back to it in the hypothetical future where white starts getting, well, it's not hypothetical that white's going to get more support. We know that's a thing that's going to happen in this mini set, but where it is actually enough and it is good enough, I think this card probably, like, given the, yeah, as I say, given the current state of core, I think, yeah, probably worth it to run. Even in the
Yeah,
base case, that's still super popular, where it's just copying an opponent's stick. Well, great. That's like a kind of sort of good resource, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, a stick costs 218, so it's copying a stick is better than playing a stick in a way.
Yeah. And you know what's the great thing about token copies? If your opponent is purple, it's a pretty feels bad play to play Peas was never an option
Yeah,
to banish a token copy.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So sad. I'd rather wait for my other resource removal.
Hmm.
Unless like I'm really dire to remove this copy right now. Yeah, cool
Okay.
card.
Yeah, absolutely. Which,
Speaking of cool cards,
speaking of, Camelot Citizens, from Sequestria and Beyond.
yeah. So this one is not unique, right?
Well,
We
it
had that on Fluttershy, the set
yeah,
before.
it is just an augmentation of Fluttershy, really. Um,
Yeah,
which is,
but I mean, it's a friend that you can play many of.
mhm,
Doesn't count towards your home limit. Like I think it's a really like one thing to have that on the main, another thing to like design a card that has that on a friend, but still like gives the same like kind of the same thing as having a main with this ability.
yeah, yeah, which is like kind of weird now that I think about it. That this Like it really has only seen play in the Nurturing Nature deck. Now that I think about it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess in nurturing nature decks are usually like built to lose face-offs.
Well, yeah.
So kind of in other decks you kind of want to have face-off power, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I really like the fact, like nurturing nature, where she's just at home and you don't really care that much about that. You just exhaust her every time and confront whatever you want. Like this card gives you the same thing, except not on the main.
Yeah.
You
It's
don't care that it is home. It's at home. It contributes its power. It's
it's
very nice.
very close to the same card, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, no, like it's like, Nurturing Nature is confront a flip, right? Which means that
Yeah,
you're going to have to pay 2 to move it to be able to get that effect online, right?
yeah.
Same as paying 2 to play this card.
Oh, well, I think that's a bit too far for me. Uh, Also works great with what was that card that gives +1 to everyone in the area?
Cloud
It was
Chaser and
yeah,
Flitter.
Cloud Chaser and Fleeter, one of them. It's the exhausting one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Works really well with this card because all of your things are free now.
hmm
Free power.
hmm Yeah, it's exactly like the main then. Except that the main will be 4 in that scenario.
Imagine if these were creators. I think yellow would actually run this card.
Frankly, I think giving this card any trait other than ally, it would make it probably too powerful. Because if it was a critter, if it was a Pegasus, there would be
Yeah.
too many ways to boost it up.
That
Uh,
yellow resource you exhaust at the end of the turn.
Diurnal Amulet, I think, is what Enema is referring to.
What does that do?
It's the one that it's +1 to everybody when it's ready and -1 to everybody when it's exhausted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I really like this card.
Yeah, it's it's one of those cards that's pretty simple actually. Uh, we talked about how Daybreaker was a re-implementation of Nightglider. This is just a re-implementation of your main in
Yeah.
Nurturing Nature, um, but it's effective
Yeah.
in that how it works.
Yeah, I think even changing anything about this card would make it maybe powerful. Like change cost to 1. I think people would start running it for sure if it
hmm
costed just 1. Change power to 3 also sounds pretty good.
Yeah. It's right in that area where if you give it even a little bit of a nudge, it's going to be really good.
Hey, maybe yellow needs a little bit of a nudge, you know?
I disagree. Disagree.
Okay. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Sure. Yeah. Right. This is one for you.
Yeah, I like this card. This card, it has a really cool ability that we haven't seen before, giving Traveler to someone.
hmm
And what I like the most about this card is the text is like really flavorful to the character. Like he is the traveling pony. That's like his whole thing. Giving Traveler to other is just so good.
hmm Yeah. It's a card that uh, well, I haven't seen it in play much, and I think you've
No, I haven't seen it either.
used it, but I feel like it should at some point because blue is all about moving.
Yeah,
Like as a card that you play at the start of the turn when you're gonna play, your card that moves 3 things or 2 things or whatever. Surely that should be good at some point, right?
I think the problem is that it only gives this effect is only for 1 turn.
Hmm.
So you gotta do a lot of moves in that turn.
Yeah.
You don't really do that in blue usually.
Yeah, Traveler
More,
is a value over time ability.
yeah. I think if this effect was also like over time, like you give your friends Traveler sometimes.
Hmm.
I don't know, like maybe every other turn, you know? Oh, that would actually be so cool when you have this ability every other turn, so you kind of
Mm.
plan.
So that would be like an exhaust to give your friends Traveler,
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah.
ready
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
that kind of
first
thing,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would
Hmm.
be kind of nice. Well, not exhaust, I was more thinking of it happening automatically. Like at the start of the turn, if this card is not exhausted, give your friend's Traveler and exhausted and doesn't rating. Something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah,
So you don't like bank it
that's a
to wait
valid
until,
design. Yeah.
yeah, and you'd have to like plan like, oh, this turn I'm gonna have Traveler and everyone. Next turn I won't have. I don't know. Either way, still this card is pretty fun card. I
Yeah.
think if we had some sort of other value from just moving friends around with a Traveler, maybe this card would see play in a deck like that. But it's just that like there's no reason to move anything.
Yeah. 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 It's in like in that sense as a card that you play in the on the turn that you're going to move a bunch of stuff. Like if I think about it, those are the turns where you banked up your AT because you're going to DFO or something, and this is essentially just saying, oh well, you better have banked up another two AT to have
Yeah.
to be able to put +1 power counters on everything. Yeah, it's actually not that amazing when you think about it that way. But you're right. There's a design space here that probably should be explored a bit further.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you just like hat stack, maybe movement should be a thing. Maybe cards other than Shoeshine with Traveler would see play.
Hey, Smolder, planning an adventure. Admittedly, the Traveler is not the reason why that card sees play, but
Yeah, that doesn't count.
it does.
Oh.
Moving on.
Yep.
Right, Gabby. Uh, you've been talking about cards that are the only ones that do a thing. I know. I know. Yeah, pretty sure that's true here. Uh,
I think
like
there's one card that's similar to this, but I don't remember. Like, but it was introduced after this one.
yeah, yeah. Like Defenders was the set that had blue had synergies with having fewer cards in your hand. I think was it?
Yeah, blue. Well, blue had a bunch of draw to just like draw and then discard. That
Well,
was
like which
blue's
set
ability.
was like Snow Dash and like
Snow Dash was defenders. Yes.
yeah, yeah, cards that triggered when you had like three or less cards in your
Yes.
hand.
Yeah.
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 Um.
Yeah. And there was another card, right, in defenders too.
Yeah.
That was also
That's
blue. Like,
Sky Stinger, I think.
yes.
Yes.
You like it was a conga thing. Yeah.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you had a few cards.
Um. But yeah. Where's my train of thought going to go? Um. To have a card that well, this is actually anti-synergy in that sense. Now that I think about it, because this refills your hand up to 4 at the end of every turn. Um, but it was still a very sort of necessary card uh, as a way for aggro to keep going, to keep
Yeah, to keep the steam up.
yeah, absolutely.
Or I think they call it the gas, and
Well, yes, yeah. Well, momentum, steam,
yeah,
gas, whatever, whatever metaphor you want to use. Um, uh, I know it saw play in Hot Wings at least a couple times for that exact purpose.
yeah,
Um, Nowadays, actually, Honorary Yak sees some play in that regard. It's more of a like that Pinkie Pie is better if you're playing it against a control deck. It's going to have a full hand. This card is better if in an aggro versus aggro matchup where both players are going to have empty hands.
Yeah.
What's the card that you were thinking of that came later that did something similar?
I don't remember. But wasn't there a card like that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, time to enter draw into the search and see.
There are many draw cards.
Yeah, there are too many draw cards. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Who knows?
I don't think there was a card similar to this that came afterward.
Maybe I'm thinking of the song that draws your like up to a hand limit. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe.
Or maybe I was thinking of another. Who knows what I was thinking of?
Who knows what you are thinking of? Yes.
Well, yeah, I like Gabby. I don't remember if I had her in my list. I had her in my first list. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, I did not make it to the second list.
Okay. Oh yeah. That was the last one. Right. Now, I said core, but the stream would obviously be woefully incomplete without the best super rare ever printed.
That's true.
Yeah, like
Just Magic Arena.
It's got to be here, right? Yeah.
It's not just the best super rare ever printed; it's the best card ever printed. After all of the Trixie cards, of course.
There's some rough competition, but I think I have to agree with you there, for sure. And
this card is amazing.
You pay 2 AT, and you have the opportunity to gain 3 AT,
or gain nothing.
Well, you
gain 2 AT because you have to pay.
Yeah. Gain your 2 AT back, and then you gain a whole bunch of AT afterwards.
That's how it works every time.
Absolutely. As long as you're much smarter than your opponent.
Yes. That's what I love that's what I love about this card so much. It's the mind games, right? You look at the card and the opponent like kind of has to guess, and they kind of have an idea what number you're choosing because they kind of know your flip average, but still, like, so good.
Yeah. So Prism Light has a fair question about why we didn't include Desert Road. I remember. Well, I guess obviously it wasn't in your list.
It was on my first list, but
right,
not the second one.
Right, because this wasn't about pure,
value.
Yeah, but yeah. So it just that neither of us is orange players, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, Desert Road is a cool card, but I guess it is kind of unique, but it's, I don't know, removing abilities is nothing we haven't seen before, and it's just, it made it like automatic, which I guess is a unique of its own, but I don't know. Again, my list was pretty long already, so
yeah.
And Desert Road is not like on the top of this card is on the top of the list.
Yeah, I think it is obviously a strong super rare card. Big staple for orange. I think, and this is going to sound a little weird for me because I put in focused attention. Like, what's come into my head is that it's just a little too, I don't want to say boring, but like straightforward. That's the word.
Lame?
Sorry, what was it?
Plain?
Lame?
Plain.
Plain. Oh, okay. Plain. Yes. Sorry. Plain.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, it is like, it's not on the super rare level of weirdness,
Yeah.
Like it could very
You're
well
talking
be
to
rare,
the people who have Magic Arena here as the best card ever. those people aren't going to probably put a card like Desert Road in their list of favorite cards ever.
Like Desert Road could easily be a rare, right? And to support this statement, I will point you to Groger's Lair, which is very similar, right? But it is a rare. None of our choices were orange. Well,
That's
I
true.
guess we're not orange players. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. If we were in Adventure, I would have included that Granny Smith, which unfortunately doesn't work the way that it
Yeah,
used to,
yeah.
because the replacement rules were changed. And like I, in a longer stream, I probably would have included the Ember.
The orange ember. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's cool. She's cool.
yeah. Um, in Adventure, I
I
would
mean,
have
to be honest,
included.
like orange doesn't have that many unique super rares.
Trying to think.
That's like,
Well, kind of. Yeah, actually, because well, orange has always been a kind of straightforward color, right?
yeah,
Like that is kind of the color identity that you just kind of playing efficient cards, and you're just kind of you're not necessarily trying to really shake up the game much or do any weird tricky stuff like purple or pink. You're just straightforward,
yeah,
honest, work a day.
honest.
Yeah.
uh, well, there were actually two super rares that were orange, and I kind of wanted to include them, and they were both from Defenders.
Uh huh.
It's the Mod Pie and Big Mac and Applejack.
Oh yes. Well, yeah.
Big Mac and Applejack is kind of a cool super rare because I think it was like one of the first times we've seen abilities. Well, not the first time we've seen abilities from the discard pile,
Hmm.
but like it was actually something free, basically free that you can get. And the only problem with that card is the anti-synergy between, you kind of want to banish it from your discard pile, but it also has experienced. And
Right.
that's super rare actually seen competitive play. We've seen it in the Lyra deck, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So I kind of like it was a card I definitely thought about including in my list. And Mod by counteroffer, I don't remember why I wanted to include her, but
Well,
she.
it enabled that one weird deck
Oh
stacker
yeah, that's right.
combo.
That's right. That's right. You could combo it with the like you basically flip your entire deck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember how it works, but
It
oh
was.
yeah, there is there was a card that when you remove a power counter from it, you may flip an additional card,
Hmm.
and she puts a power counter when you flip a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was you flip your whole deck, and then you stack your whole deck.
Yes.
And then I forget what the win condition was. Having done
Well,
that,
there was no win condition. It's just the it's just the idea that you could potentially abuse, right? Because
right,
you know the perfect order of your deck, and all of your chaos effects trigger. Any chaos effect you have in your deck, it triggers.
right,
Like that was incredible. Like I really love that. But honestly, like mod has really little to do with that. Like it's not like it's a synergy between multiple cards. It's not just
hmm,
because of that super like the effect of the super rare is quite plain, right? It's you put a power counter when you
I
flip a card,
guess, I guess, yeah,
and you exhaust the character when you win the face off. It's like nothing we haven't seen before. But the synergy was really there, yeah. So those are the two orange cards that I was actually thinking of, and they were
fair,
pretty good.
fair calls, yeah, yeah. I guess it's fair to say if you've been watching us for any length of time, this isn't really the stream to go to for Orange Love in general. Uh, it's
I
unfortunate.
do like some orange sometimes, but yeah, where's the purple stream? Did you see our icon? It has a teacup on it with AT.
It's unfortunately
AT for
true.
sugar.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I know this is the last one, the be all and end all, the A alpha and the omega. So that
This
is,
card is so good it made it into a core stream.
yeah, for sure. Well, as I said, it would be incomplete without it.
Yeah, it's like even to this day, we have only one card that has a close-ish effect to this one, which is Sphinx.
Right. Yes, that's right.
But like, I'll do it like in draft. If I see a Magic Arena, I immediately pick it and I always play it. I never sideboard it out. I play purple just because I want to play Magic Arena. This card is so fun to play. Unfortunately, it's not like good because likely you're not getting too much value out of it, but still, it's so much fun.
Proc. You're supposed to lean into the meme that this card is much better than it actually is.
Okay, sure. I'm running this card instead of Paper Twine. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also a 2-cost AT generator. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unique. Anyway, yeah. So that is going to be our stream for today. I think. Yeah, that's the whole list of SRs. Hopefully, in 2 weeks' time, we shall have Ciderfest results to work with.
Yeah.
I should think so. Um, that's going to be what day is that? That's going to be 14 days from now, so the 26th. So the invitational won't be done yet by that point, unfortunately. But we'll have Ciderfest results to talk about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and for what it's worth, if you haven't, the lower brackets finishing up in the invitational tonight, if you haven't seen and been watching the lower bracket games that have gone to YouTube, I would recommend them. There's been some real good ones in there. And the one that's coming up tonight, which you and I are going to be doing the commentary for, is also a really good one. It's Bugle and Eminently. So and they're games that live up to the high caliber you would expect from those two players. So take that as your advertisement to tune into that tonight. Otherwise, if you have nothing else to say, Hithrock,
Nope.
then I will thank everyone for spending time with us this Saturday. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.